to it. So, yeah, when you speak right into it, they can hear you. So, who's up first? You first. There you
go. Good morning, Dr. Ken and classmates. Today we will talk about Chapter 12, Taking Control of Your Future. My name is Mongmani. There are my group members. Right, let's get started. First, the dream of a lifetime. Before I start, I will ask you some questions. Do you have a dream for your college life? Do you think you have made your full efforts for your dream? What sense that is useless for your dream do you do every so often? You really need to think sincerely. There are famous people's dreams. Steve Jobs hoped to make people's life very convenient by using computer. Back Boys hope to make a lot of excellent music. Stephen William Hawking hope to help people discover the truth. So, what's your dream? Everyone has his or her dream since we are in truth. But as we growing up, we forget our former dreams slowly. There are some dreams you might have when you are a child. A teacher, a scientist, a doctor, a lawyer, and so on. But this dream maybe disappeared in your heart with the time went by. It doesn't matter. The key problem is you have a former dream now. So you need to set a goal. You need to have life goals or objectives. You may think of your objectives in terms of finances or personal, specific or very general. Regardless of what they may be, they are most important to you because they influence the decisions you are making today about your future. So you need to set a goal. The goal should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Then you need to understand what motivates your goals and aspirations. In this way, you are better able to prioritize your thoughts about the future, identify new options, and make the genuine fulfillment. Then, how to realize your dreams? There are 3 types. First, in the table that follows, you should need the 4 or 5 most important dreams you have for your future, include your personal, professional, and economical goals. And you should take some time to think about why are they important to you. And how are they linked to each other? Third, using your dream statement as a guide, write 2 or 3 sentence missions. Third, ask yourself, am I living up to my mission? Am I taking the right steps toward this mission? The most important is to stick to your dream and never give up. Part 2, career exploration. What is a career? Career is the job or profession that someone does for a long period of their life. But the career and the job are different. A job is something you would like to have, especially if you want to pay your bills. Requires you to show up and what is required of you. A career. It involves holding jobs, but it's more a means of achieving personal fulfillment. Requires playing knowledge and skills. After the career, you need to think this question. What do you want to do when you grow up? It's important to define as best you can what effort you want to develop your career, because that will help dictate your major and your courses selections. So you need to start the career exploration. The career exploration process involves 4 phases. They can be a lot of fun, as it allows you discover a world of possibilities. Phase A, who am I? Getting to know who you are, who you really are is the first step. There is the Dr. Jane Holland call about personality steps. Realistic means people enjoy working with their hands. Investigative means people like to explore and understand things and events. Artistic means people enjoy creating original work and have an imagination. Social means people are interested in how people get along. Enterprising means people like to persuade or direct others. Conventional means people like to follow orderly routines and meet clear standards. Phase B, what's out there? Once you have determined your occupational type, you can begin to explore what type of careers might be best suited to you. You can look at this table. If you are realistic, maybe you are suitable for the contractor or engineer. If you are investigative, maybe you are suitable for the geologist or college professor. If you are artistic, social, enterprising, conventional, you can match them one by one to get a deeper understanding of your occupation. Phase C, you may have a list of career you want to explore, but there are other factors you have to take into consideration as well. There are 4 factors: timing, finances, location, family or personal. You should ask yourself about timing. How much time must I invest before I actually start making money in this career? Finances, will this career provide me with the kind of income I need in the short term and the security I will want in the longer term? Location, does this career require me to relocate? Family or personal, how will this career affect my personal and family life? Then, where do I go from here? You should make decisions about your future. There is a lot you can do while still in college. You still need to focus your studies by choosing a major. Find the opportunities to explore the careers that interest you. Ensure that you are building the right kind of experience on which to base a successful career. This step will make your dreams come to life and make them achievable. Don't be afraid to consider new ideas. Don't make change without career consideration. Sum up to my parts. First, the world is changing quickly around you, but your dreams and aspirations may provide a sense of direction in unknown territory. Second, career planning is an ongoing process involving knowing yourself, knowing about career options, and understanding the context in which your decisions will be made. I hope this can help you to take control of your future. Before I Before I close, I will ask you one more question. Why did you decide to attend the college? Different people have different reasons. Personally speaking, I think going to college is a great opportunity to improve myself and realize my dream better. I hope you can really think about this. This is my part. Now let my partner Wang continue to explain to you.
Hello, my classmate and Dr. Ken. Today my first part, 12.3, is about choosing your major. These are the learning objectives. First, understand how your major is important to your career. Second, understand why majors are not important to a career. 3, practice skills for selecting a good major. Choosing a major can have a big impact on your career choice, especially if you are following a technical or vocational program of study. After all, it's hard to become a pharmacist if you start computer networking. But students often get annoyed about choosing a major or program of studies. But now, you don't need to panic over this because I can give you some reasons. First, your choice of major or program will be important only for your first job after college. Most people change careers, not just jobs, but careers, 5 times more or more in their lifetime. So there is no possible major that will cover that level of flexibility. Second, many majors and programs share foundation course with other majors. So you can usually change your major without having wasted your time in courses that will be unrelated to your new major. The third part is most students change their major at least once, and many will change majors 2 or 3 times before they graduate. So are you ready to choose a major now? While these thoughts might remove some of stress of making the choice, there is no doubt that it's not always easy to make your choice. These are some tips I can give you to choose your majors. First is follow your dreams. Your first instinct in choosing a field of study is probably based on your dreams and life experience. Second is make it fun. You can ask yourself, what do you like to do for fun? What kinds of magazines do you read? What websites are bookmarked on your computer? What kinds of volunteer work have you done? Third, build on your skills. Consider also courses that you found challenging in which you learn a lot. Fourth part is ask around. If you ask around, you can get some information from your friend. It can help you a lot. The last part is what makes you unique. If you have a major that you'd like to pursue that is not offered at your college, find out if you can plan your own major. What's the most important of your choice is be open to change, because I think if you can open to change, you have more opportunity to try something different, and some different majors and some different jobs. End of list 12.3. The key takeaways is first, there is no need to panic over the choice of a major or program of studies. Second, most students will change their major during their college years. Third, many people work and have successful careers in disciplines they didn't major in. So I hope everyone can find your favorite job after follow this part. Before I start my next part, I will celebrate speaking. Knowledge is a comfortable and a necessary retreat and shelter for us in an advanced age. And if we do not plan it while it while young. It will give us no shade when one grows old. It's from Chesterfield. It tells us we need to getting a right stuff and learn something important. So the next part I will introduce is 12.4, getting the right stuff. The learning object is first, explore the benefits of a 4-year college education. Second, understand the difference between work-based skills and transferable skills. Third, learn how to use jobs, internships, and volunteering. What do you need to launch a good career? Employers will look at your education skills and experience, making sure you have the right stuff in these 3 areas in what you should focus on in your college experience. I think something you need to get from the college is experience, education, skills, rewards, patience, attitudes, and devoted. And these are the 2 requirements for the employees. Maybe they want you have. The first, maybe you need to have the transfer ticket. It means you have something you can transfer to others. First, you need to prove it is first find out about the transfer grammar at your college. Second, make sure your credits are transferable. Third, talk to your advisor. Fourth, to understand your college articulation agreement. And the skill label is the second requirement for employees. Many of skills you will need are career specific. We call those work-based skills. This includes knowing how to use equipment that is specific to your career and the marketing process that are used in your field. While some of these skills are learned and perfected on the job, you may be in vocational track program where you are learning your work-based skills. Are you ready for a test drive? Relevant experience is not only important as a job qualification, it can also provide you with a means to explore or test out occupational options and build a contact list that will be valuable when networking for your career. But how can you gain relevant experience without experience to begin with? Maybe I think you should consider 3 options: volunteering, internships, and part-time employment. What about volunteering? Volunteering is especially good for students looking to work in social artist occupation. But students looking for work in other occupation types should not shy away from this option. So you can master many transferable skills through volunteering. And the part-time job. Part-time employment may be an option if your study schedule provides enough free time. If so, be sure to investigate opportunities in your field of study. The last is internship. Internship focus on gaining practical experience related to a course or program of study. Intense work for an organization or company for reduced wage or stipend, or volunteer in exchange for partial experience. After the 12.4, you need to know. First, employers look at the candidates who have the right education, the right skill, and the right experience. Second, progress in many career opportunities is enhanced by more advanced education. You should work, however, to make sure the education you are already getting counts. Third, be sure you can identify and show mastery in transferable skills as well as work-related skills. The last is experience through volunteering, internship, and part-time jobs will illustrate to potential employers that you can work in your chosen field, but it's also an instrument to help create a network of colleagues to enhance your career development. And now is the Q&A part. is the question about 12.3. What are some of reasons you should not panic over the choice of major? Maybe anyone can think about this. In my opinion, I think because it's difficult to say which is the better trade, one can become the master of his trade, provide his diligent and tries hard, and you have the opportunity to change majors in college. Even a lot of people work after graduation is not their own profession. And it's the 12.4 question. Why is having a written internship agreement is so important? I think internship agreement is an important basis for interns and internship to resolve this purse. In China, if internship change casualties, interchange generally do not enjoy the treatment of work-related injuries. So interns should interoperate with the internship prior to deal with the occurrence of causality. In order to avoid their own rights and interests are not protected afterwards. This and I will pass to my partner.
Good morning, Dr. Ken and classmates. And I'll continue my part. I'll talk about two areas. The first is career development starts now, and the second area is the power of networking. Okay, let's talk about the first area. Career development starts now. And this is 3 key points in this part. First is understand that career development is not a process that occurs only when you are searching for a job. And the second point is know how to get organized for career development. And the third is use resources for career development. Okay, we are both the college students and in the university. Our career is develop ourselves. And just do this, when we graduate from university, the market will be ready to accept us, and we'll get a job that we like. And how to develop ourselves? I have 2 points. The first is organize some digital space as well. You could create a file or use your computer create a folder. Of course, you can use the traditional ways to get and keep 2 notebooks to use during your career exploration, and one is for recording and tracking phone calls, and the other is for general notes. The second point is organizing your financial picture. If you are a businessman, you are investing both times and money in your college degree. And you should have a clear picture of how and when your investment will begin to pay off. You should start identify resources that you can use to explore and select an occupation and to help land that first job in your career. Most important is identify these resources and record them in your notebook, creating your own personal reference guide. And I should mention one point is you should set goals for yourself to guide you in your process. And I'll mention is the goals must simple enough. That means just like tomorrow morning I will do my accounting homework, and the night I have a party, just like this. And it can lead you to finish your task every day. And I'll have a little summarize. First is career exploration and job hunting are not short-term projects but processes that continue over time. Second, organization is key to an effective process and set you up for success. Third, setting goals will keep your actions organized and keep you moving forward in a long-term process. The next area, the power of networking. The main key point is first, learn how to develop a network. The second, keep track of your contacts. The third, attend conferences and trade shows. In specifically, what exactly is networking? Simply, it is a process of engaging others in helping you reach an objective. And in this conception, it has 3 key points. First, process. Second, engaging. And third, objective. Process. Networking is something that doesn't happen casually, but requires thought, planning, and deliberate activity. Engaging. You are looking to have others do something for you, give you information, guidance, other contacts, or perhaps recommendations. And the third is objective. Objective, you need to be clear about your purpose for networking. It is not merely to collect people's contact information, but to further your career development. And the process of networking involves 3 basic phases. Prospect in identification and management, making contact and follow-up. I should talk about is all contacts are equal, but some are more so than others. The first phase involves identifying whom you should be speaking to and pointing the people who can introduce you to them. And whom do you need to speak to? That really depends on your objective. If you are trying to learn a job, and it can be just about anyone involved with that field. And if you are in the process to finding a job or finding a volunteer process, you want to reach the person who will make the hiring decisions. That is important. And the third, your objective also defines how you get started with your networking. In the first case I just mentioned, you might want to start with people you met at an industry conference. And in the second case, you will want to think about whom you know in that company or who might know someone in that company, because they can make the decision they'll hire you or not hire you. And building a network, it requires consistent work, and a strong network will take time to achieve. The second point, your network should include anyone who might have a connection that will help. Family, friends, neighbors, past and present co-workers, bosses, people you met through associations and clubs. And in our life, contacts are everywhere. And how can you do in order to build your own networkings? I have these 4 suggestions. First, be prepared. When you attend a party or you attend a speaking, you should know ahead of time which people or kinds of people you want to meet. Be prepared with topics you can steer your contact towards so you don't speak 2 minutes awkwardly talking about the weather and then think away. Third is be confident. Prepare and learn a short introduction for yourself. Be factual, don't brag, and give enough information about yourself to prompt your contact to ask questions. And the third point is you should be curious. The best way to get contacts to want to know you is to show you want to know them. Observe them before you step up to them. Be conscious. And what you see in your networking course or emails will depend largely on the objective of your networking effort. Both some networking bases and the elements of equity apply to all contacts. It has 5 key points. First, be mindful of your contact's time. Keep your calls and emails cautious but brief. If you are calling, ask if it is a good time to talk. And the second is, if this is a first contact, tell the contact where you got his or her name. From this way, you will make it not so embarrassed. You can talk to them. I was referred to you by my friend Nancy. That's a good way. And this turns an interpreting cold call into a warm call with an interested individuals. And the third point is be specific about how the contact can help you. Know what you are asking for and do so directly. Don't be shy. And the fourth point is use your network for more than just asking for jobs. It is a great vehicle for learning about new trends in the industry and also for seeking advice on practical aspects of your occupation. And the last is help others in your network. Networking is not a one-way adventure. Be willing to offer your assistance whenever you can. And I'll do a small summary. First, networking is an ongoing process that involves identifying and managing prospects, making contact, and following up. The second, all contacts are good contacts. And the third, common courtesy and follow-through are the catalysts of good networking. And in final, I want to ask a question. Maybe some students will confuse. I want to graduate and be in the job market for a couple years. Do I need to work on resumes and networking now? Of course. Yes, absolutely. Even though you do not graduate from the college, but as a student, maybe you want to have a part-time job and maybe you want to be a volunteer to do some meaning things. And in this time, it need your network. And from after you graduating from the college, if you build your networking before, and you will get a good job, and it will save a lot of time in the future. And that's my part. Next, my partner will explain.
Hello everyone, I'm going to talk about resumes and cover letters. A resume is basically a summary of your experience, just as an advertiser will invest a lot of resources to condense the essence of his or her product into a 30-second ad for the Super Bowl. Condensing the essence of your experience onto one or two pages can be a challenging task. Final tuning, updating, and reverting your resume will become an ongoing process as you move through your career, and it is not too early to prepare one now. The purpose of resume is to get you invited for an interview. Unfortunately, too often a resume is a reason to include a candidate, programmer, misspelled words, lengthy listings for irrelevant appearance, and messy formatting hiring managers to move quickly to the next candidate. Then, how to write a good resume? There is no such thing as a perfect format for a resume. The hiring managers and recruiters generally agree on the following principles. A short resume is generally better than a long one. One page should usually be enough, 2 pages if you have lots of experience. Focus on your accomplishments, not just the positions you held. Your resume should point out your strengths. Use dynamic verbs. Include the numbers. Be sure to include the dollar amounts and percentages that support achievements. For example, you might write reduce cost by 20%. Keep track of your accomplishments in your notebook so that you don't have to go back and recreate the history when you are revising your resume. Use keywords. Most recruiters and hiring managers look for resumes online and review submitted resumes with software that looks for keywords. Keep information easy to find. Use the standard convention of reverse chronological listing of experience, starting with your current or most recent job and moving backward in time. Unless there is a valid reason for following a different format. Deciding what to include in your resume is where most of the work comes in, because it is in the careful wording of the body of your resume that you can really sell yourself for a position. Ideally, you should review your resume for each position you are applying for, particularly to include any accomplishments that you would not include in your general resume, but that are relevant to that particular job. Your resume should include these elements. Handle. Include your full name and complete contact information. Be sure that you use the personal phone number and email address, not your work contact information. Objective. Include a short 1 or 2 sentence summary of the kind of position you are looking for. Some resume writers now recommend replacing or following the objective with a listing of skills, particularly when you are going to post the resume online, because that provides a great opportunity to include keywords. Look to your list of transferable skills to populate this kind of list. Resume body. Starting with your current or most recent job, internship, or volunteer position, list your experience in reverse chronological order. Each entry should include the title, the name and the location of the company, and the date you held the position. This should be followed by your major achievements in that position. Use strong action verbs and quantitative measure for achievements. Look for things that will show that you are a better candidate than others. Consider accomplishments such as the following. Being promoted, gaining expanded responsibilities, being recruited by former employer or boss, or being asked to follow him or her to another company. Having your accomplishments copied by other departments or even better by other companies. Recruiting and training others. Receiving awards and recognitions, including speaking at conferences, writing, or being written about. Once you are written the body of your resume, review and discuss it with people you respect. Ask them what stands out, what puts them to sleep, what turns them off, and whether anything is missing. Make sure your resume is short and sweet, and that it demonstrates your strengths. Be sure you can support every point you make on your resume during an interview. Great resumes are a combination of business documents, marketing piece, and personal preferences. Expect the conflicting options from others and don't get hung up on them. The final decision is yours. Finally, here are some tips on formats. Name your resume file clearly. Don't give the field name resume or my resume. Include your name, job title, and company name in the file name. Choose your document formatting wisely. Use readable font. You have approximately 30 seconds to make an impact on the person reading your resume, and nothing turns off a reader faster than a resume that is difficult to read. Serif fonts, such as Times New Roman, should be no smaller than 11 points. Try to keep margins at 1 inch all the way around. Print your resume on high-grade, bright white paper. Don't use cream colors paper or paper with visible fibers, as this paper confuses scanners and optical character recognition software that employees may use to digitally store and search resumes. Cover letters. The purpose of the cover letter is to entice the recipient to read your resume. There is no better way to entice someone to read further than to demonstrate that you fit his or his needs. A successful cover letter should emphasize how your knowledge, skills, or experience makes you an ideal candidate. When writing a cover letter, look over the job posting carefully. What are keywords in the posting? Underline or highlight them. Think about how your experience and skills are related to these keywords. What examples can you give in short sentences? Now you can begin to write. Be sure to state what job you are applying for and why you are opening paragraph. If you don't hook the readers here, you will not be considered for the job. This is where you begin to show that you are unique and qualified candidate. This, in marketing terms, is your selling proposition. Write this paragraph 2 or 3 different ways and then choose the best. When you are happy with your opening paragraph, add 1 or 2 paragraphs that illustrate your proposition from the opening paragraph. Remember that your cover letter also demonstrates your communication skills. Be clear and be careful. You won't have another opportunity to make a first impression. Be sure your spelling and grammar are correct. Read the document, look for mistakes your spell checker won't catch. Put it down for a while and then reread it again. Keep your formatting simple. Often you will have to copy and paste your letter and resume into a predetermined from a company's website. You are likely to lose formatting conversations such as table, and bullet lists. In a job search, nothing is more exciting than an interview. Researching the interview state means that you are in serious consideration for the position. In this section, You will learn how to prepare yourself to ace this process. Types of interviews. In the process of exploring occupations and leading job, you will likely participate in a variety of interviews. They are defined by their objective. Informational or networking interviews. Informational or networking interviews is particularly useful in helping you explore career options. This is an interview that you have requested to learn about a particular job, company, or industry that how best to present yourself to potential hiring managers. An informational interview also gives you opportunity to create a positive impression. Be sure to get referrals, lists, and recommendations for other networking contacts. Screening interviews, generally conducted by representative of company's human resources departments or recruiter. A screening interview is used to determine whether you are qualified or overqualified to the job. This initial interview is often conducted via telephone. As the name implies, the objective of this interview is to find reasons to remove, not include, people in a candidate pool. Do not consider it lightly just because someone other than the hiring manager is conducting it. One-on-one interviews. In a one-on-one interview, the interviewer asks a set of questions to learn if you have the knowledge and skills to handle the job for which you have applied. The hiring manager conducting the one-on-one interview also wants to get a sense of what it would be like working with you and how you would fit the organization. It is also used to learn how you behaved in past situations as a predictor of how you are likely to behave in the future. Expect to be asked, tell me about time when, or give me an example questions. This interview is one a hiring decision is based on. Just as preparing is important for exams in college, preparation is key to succeed in interviews. Many of the principles are the same, but in an employment interview, the subject is you, just as in an exam. The first step in preparation is to know your material. Learn about the organization. In most every interview situation, you will be asked, what can you do for this company? Practice your answer. Research press releases, stories in annual reports, blogs, websites, news, and so on. Know the company's goals, plans, new products, targeted customer, and major directional changes. Use your network. Do you know anyone who works for or has worked for this company or organization? Call, have lunch with him or her before your interview to learn more. Your competition likely won't have done their homework as well as you have. Your prospective employer will notice. Review the job description. Be prepared to explain how your background qualifies you for the job. Did you find the job posting online? Be sure to have printed a copy and bring it with you to the interview. Some companies take weeks to start calling people in for interviews, and by then the job description may have been removed from the seat where you saw it. Review your resume. Think of examples that describe or illustrate your accomplishments. You will be asked about items on your resume, and you need to be able to spot them and go into more detail. Use your study guide. Employment interviews, especially screening interviews, do not stray far from standard list of questions. Find a question 1 or 2 hours to review the interview study guide provided here. Prepare your answers and actually practice them. Your answer should be short but completed. The following questions are typically in many employment interviews. If you prepare answers for them ahead of time, you will not be cut off guard during an interview. Okay, now is the time to demonstrate your listening, thinking, and communication skills. Avoid unexpected distractions and turn for yourself before you even enter the building. Know whom you will be interviewing with and what his or her role in the company. If possible, get something in writing from the interview coordinator so you can get the names spelled correctly. Once you are face to face with the interviewer, do the following: relax, take a deep breath, and smile. You should be truly pleased to be there, as you were selected from the pool of many of other candidates. Be yourself. That's whom you want them to hire, not someone you are trying to act like. Keep your tone conversational but not too informal. Avoid one-word answers but be lucid and direct. Make eye contact but don't stare. No one likes to be stared. When answering questions, keep your answers focused on your skills and knowledge. Avoid one-word answer, but be direct, don't ramble. Be trustful. Any statements discovered to be untrue are grounds for not hiring you. If you don't understand the question, ask for clarification. If you don't have the exact fact an interviewer is asking for, offer to find out and get back to them. At the end of the interview, thank the interviewer and tell him or her you enjoyed your conversation. If the interviewer hasn't already told you, it is appropriate to ask about the next steps. After the interview, be sure to send a thank you note to each person you interviewed with. It is also courteous to send a short note for thanks to the person who coordinates your schedule with the company, even if her or she didn't interview you. This person is often asked for his or her impressions of you. Keep your note short but personal. Refer to a comment or question from the interview that you found significant, An email is usually acceptable, especially if the employer required you to submit electronic applications or resume. Be sure to send it within 24 hours. Okay, so that is our presentation today. Thank you for your listening.
I'm going to remind you, I think I showed you this the first week, but this was a survey done by the UK, a number of UK universities in combination. And this was when they were asking employers what made their determination of who they hired. And you notice the ones with stars, those are all things that really relate a lot to Stephen Covey, for example. A lot of things that we're studying in this class right now are the things with stars by them. Because what they found out was that the employers kind of expected that everybody would have some basic skills in whatever it was job they were supposed to be in. Whether it was in engineering, they'd have an engineering skills. If they had, whatever field they were in, they're going to have some basic skills. And so that wasn't their top concern. Their top concern were what we call soft skills, which, again, as I said, kind of very much relate to Stephen Covey and some of the other things we've been talking about in this class, not just from Covey, but from others also. And so it is important for you to understand that when you go for a job interview, this is the stuff they're looking for. They're presuming you have the basic skills, and your CV should acknowledge you have your degree and it's you had such and such a GPA. And that's going to be kind of granted, and they're not going to be as concerned about the GPA as they are some of the other things. As were pointed out, do you have some work experience, whether it be internships or volunteer work or something? Do you have something other than just book knowledge? They are concerned about book knowledge. That's one reason why, in my industry, nobody wants to hire somebody with a PhD in the industry, because they don't trust them. They don't trust that they have the professional skills, they just have academic knowledge. And that's not of value to the industry. And I'd say in any industry, they want to be sure that you have something beyond academic knowledge. And so that's part of it. And as the team discussed, that was up here a second ago. But all these other things are also part of it. And their questions are aimed at getting a sense for how you match up in these areas. Do you have good basic communication skills? Do you have teamworking skills? Do you have confidence? Do you have an interesting personality? One that would be pleasant to work with? Could they envision themselves working with you on a day-to-day basis and enjoying it, for example? Do you have good analytical and decision-making skills? So when you go into that interview or write your cover letter or whatever, remember these things. Is that they are presuming you have basic skills, and they're not really that concerned even how high a GPA you have. That is not their top priority. But they want to know how you will fit into their organization as a worker. And these soft skills that they put the highest among all the things they're looking at and who they hired are very, very important. And so that is a reason why it's good for you to be in this class, because we're talking about soft skills. Through a whole semester, we've been talking about the soft skills. Stephen Covey's all the 7 habits are really about soft skills. That would be invaluable to anybody in getting a job. They don't have to be in business, even though his was named one of the top business books of all time. It's not just a business book. It's about a life book. How these characteristics that they want everybody to have, that employers want to see these attributes in you if they're going to hire you. So keep that in mind and think about how you can develop these soft skills even more, and how you can reflect them if you go in, whether it be an interview or in your cover letter or whatever. How do you reflect these things? A couple of other thoughts too. Turn this off. Don't be too you get a lot of very common standardized hoopla about how your resume should look. And I'm not saying the advice is bad, but also don't be afraid to think outside the box. One of the keys in a resume is, you might say, the 7-second rule. Can they look at this resume, and by the way, that's how you pronounce it, resume. That's why they have a little accent mark in the E. Can they look at your resume and in 7 seconds get an idea of who you are? Is it so? And so that means probably a variation in your type size to tell them what's important. That may mean some bullet items. In fact, I never put an objective on my resume. I don't think it's that relevant personally. What I do at the top is put some bullet items that is truly kind of like headlines. Who is Ken Harvey? And so I put like 5 bullet items of truly a resume, a preview of who I am, and then I go into the detail after that. So I think that's more important personally. That's my personal advice. Some of the other things I've tried in the past that I think and recommended to, I mentioned I worked for a while I helped develop and lead a reemployment opportunity center where people had lost their jobs and now they're looking for new jobs, and many of them are in their high 30s, 40s, some in their 50s. And they didn't know if they'd ever find another job again. So we had to kind of think outside the box and think how, especially the older ones, could get seen and distinguished from the younger competitors that they'd be up against. And so particularly with them, those bullet items, for example, were very important. It's hard for somebody just out of college to put bullet items of all the things they've accomplished in their career. But an older person can do that. But even a younger person could use that style. We looked at some resumes that were totally outside the box, totally different. And they would have to jump out at a reviewer to see, whoa, look at that one. And so don't be afraid to think outside the box with the resume. If you think that it would be valuable to get their attention, of course, once you get their attention, you have to convince them to give you the interview. So just getting their attention is not enough. You have to have some content to it. One guy, for example, took a picture of himself, and then he kind of drew a line from the brain, and a line from the heart, and a line from different parts of the body, and then made up a little text about his passion and his intellectual capabilities and stuff. And so it was a one-page picture of him with all these little verbiages pointing at different parts of his body, which I can't remember all of them now. I actually have a copy of it, but I don't want to go looking for it right now. So that was totally going to get their attention. In fact, they'd probably pass it around. Look at this resume. They might laugh at it, but it'd get their attention. And I think his area was something like graphic art, so it made sense for him to do something that different anyway, to show he had some creativity. So it was a demonstration of his creativity, among other things. One of the things we thought about, and I did myself, and some of the people in that reemployment center, some of the clients, when we did business cards, we put kind of those bullet items, the resume of our resume, on the back of the business card. So in other words, now when you hand somebody your business card, they flip it over, they know who you are, they know what your strengths are, because those bullets that I put at the top of my resume are now on the back of my business card. So that can be interesting. You can use, even when you're not looking for a job, when you're more doing the networking that they talked about, you can, two things about that. First off, think of the elevator speech. Did we talk about elevator? You know what an elevator speech is? Have we talked about that before? The elevator speech is what you would tell somebody, kind of your sales pitch while you're going up an elevator. In other words, about 30 seconds. And so in 30 seconds, if you were a salesperson, in those 30 seconds, what would you tell somebody about what you're selling? Who you are, what you do, and what you're selling, if you're selling something. What if you're selling yourself? Okay, you should think about a 30-second sales pitch on yourself. As we mentioned earlier, everybody's a salesperson. You're selling yourself. So even if you're not selling a product or a service, you're selling, your service, and you are the product. And so make up your 30-second sales pitch, so to speak, your 30-second explanation of who you are, and think really hard about what you want to highlight. What are your key points? What makes you different and valuable? And you can use that at any time. If you go to a party and you meet somebody, you should have a version where it's not a hard sell. You're not trying to make a hard sell, but you're trying to explain who you are. So if you're networking, it's that 30-second elevator speech can be valuable to you, so that people remember you, remember what you have to offer, so you become a valuable part of their network. So a 30-second elevator speech is not just for salespeople, or in a sense it is, because we're all salespeople. But understand that you're a salesperson, and a 30-second speech is appropriate to develop even now. Now it might relate to your talents, might relate to your ambitions, what you want to do, so it will adapt over the years as to what would be in your 30-second elevator speech. I'm going to say something else with that. What was that? Oh, yeah, the other thing is there's a principle of reciprocation. We use it in journalism to get people to tell us stuff. I remember when I first heard that there was a rather humorous editor for the Rolling Stone magazine, the entertainment magazine, Rolling Stone. And he made up a speech that he gave to my students when I was teaching in New York. And it was the 17 principles of effective interviewing, something like that. But one of them I remember kind of stood out to everybody was the principle of reciprocation. And his example was what makes you remember it. His example was that he would go spend a lot of time with rock stars and stuff. And so he would tell them about the funny story in which how he lost his virginity. And then the principle of reciprocation is if he tells them how he lost his virginity, they will tell him how they lost their virginity. Of course, his story doesn't show up in his magazine article, theirs does. And so he gets people to tell him stuff that they wouldn't normally tell people through the principle of reciprocation. Well, the principle of reciprocation also works in, for example, the elevator speech. When you're actually in the elevator, you greet somebody and you may ask them, hey, hi, I'm Ken. What do you do? What are you doing here? And they tell you about themselves. And then the principle of reciprocation is they feel compelled to ask you about you, which then gives you the opportunity to give your elevator speech. And so you can use that in lots of situations, whether it's in an elevator or not, that doesn't matter. At a cocktail party, any place where you're networking, one of the principles we've already learned from people like Dale Carnegie is that to win friends and influence people, you get them talking about themselves. But the other flip side of it is that when you get them talking about themselves, the principle of reciprocation means they should ask you about you. And you're now ready to tell them. You have your 30-second elevator speech ready to tell them about yourself. And now they feel compelled to ask you because you've been listening very patiently to them. And they feel, and people like to talk about themselves, so they of course, they think well of you because you're listening to them brag about themselves. But now they feel compelled to ask you. So the principle of reciprocation can be used in lots of situations. When you want them to ask you about something, the way you do it is you ask them about that same question to them. And then they will come back and ask you. It's not 100% by any means, but that's the trend. That's the tendency. Okay. We don't have a lot of time. I want to go ahead and listen to one or two of these videos and make a few comments on it, though, while we have some, while we're here, so you don't have to listen to all of them on your own. So I'm going to, this first one is really interesting. It talks about the failures of our own thinking process. And it's good to know that sometimes we don't think very well. It may not be a key to succeeding in life, but it maybe is a little bit humbling. And it's also important in marketing. Some of his examples are in marketing, how you word something is vital to what kind of response you're going to get. Absolutely vital. And he gives some examples of why that's true. So it is an important video on how to communicate better, how to get better responses to surveys and stuff, but also is kind of humbling in recognizing that sometimes we don't think very well. We have to recognize and adapt to that. So I'll go ahead and play this one. I'm not going to make this part of our video, so I'm going to turn off my video here.